Your employer could be stealing from your retirement right now, legally, quietly, and most workers never catch it. From Visa July 2026, there is a 7-day hard deadline that changes everything. But here is the problem. Knowing the rule exists and actually knowing whether your boss is breaking it are two completely different things. I will show you exactly how to check, confirm, and report it. And the last step is the one that actually gets results. Let me put a number on how big this problem is before we fix it. The ATO estimated $52 billion in super went unpaid in the 2021 to 2022 year, which tells you delayed and missing super is a national leakage, not an isolated payroll hiccup. That figure is historical, not current year data, but it is the reason these new rules exist. If it can happen at that scale, it can quietly happen to your account too. Under the old quarterly system, employers could hold your super until 28 days after the end of the quarter, delaying money that should already be compounding in your fund. From July 2026, that gap shrinks dramatically because the ATO says the super guarantee charge can apply unless contributions are received within 7 calendar days of payday. The practical impact is that every delayed contribution costs you investment time, and now the check happens every single payday instead of once a quarter. That is the standard you're going to measure your employer against. Here is why this rule has teeth. Late super is not simply pay it later, because employers may still have to lodge a super guarantee charge statement, pay the SG charge, and face additional penalties if that charge is not paid on time. Treasury says the longer the non-compliance continues, the larger the charge becomes, and late payments can trigger interest and penalties beyond the original shortfall. Because this now runs payday by payday rather than quarterly, repeated lateness can compound into recurring charges across every pay period, which is exactly why you want to catch it early. Your first move is to check your employer's timing using the ATO's super tools and your own member transaction history. Log into ATO online services through MyGov to see your super records. Then open your super fund's transaction history to find when each contribution actually landed. Match each deposit date against your payday for the last 3 pay cycles and flag any gap longer than 7 calendar days. Good looks like every contribution received within a week of payday, with no quarterly backlog hiding in the background. Before you lodge anything, confirm whether your employer is genuinely late or just using a slow clearing house. Use the ATO's Employer Super Guidance and your own payslip to identify the super amount and its scheduled payment date. Then ask payroll directly for the remittance date. Ask whether the payment went through a clearinghouse that could delay when the money is actually received by your fund, because the rule is about receipt, not the day they hit send. Good looks like payroll being able to prove the funds reach your fund within 7 calendar days. One quick exception to know so you do not report a false alarm. Under the new rules, the Fair Work Ombudsman notes there is a 20 business day exception for a new employee's first super contribution. So if you have just started a job, your very first payment gets a little more breathing room than the standard 7 days. After that first contribution, the normal 7 calendar day clock applies to every payday. Before I get to this final move, which is the one most people skip, remember the earlier steps are what make it work. If your employer keeps missing the deadline, report it to the ATO through ATO online services, listing the employer's name, the pay dates, the amounts, and the dates the money actually hit your fund. Include at least one payslip, your super fund transaction record, and the expected payday super due date so your case is airtight. Good looks like the ATO clearly seeing a pattern of late receipt, not just a single processing delay. If this kind of breakdown is useful, subscribe. There's one like this every week. Let me kill the biggest myth right here. A lot of people believe super can be paid whenever the employer gets around to it, as long as it is eventually paid. The fact, from 1st July 2026, is that employers must pay so the contribution is received within 7 calendar days of payday, and late payment can trigger the SG charge, interest and penalties. So this is no longer a fuzzy, eventually is fine situation. It is a countable, provable deadline you can hold them to. Let's run the whole thing back fast so you can act today. Learn the shift from the old 28 days after quarter end to the new 7 calendar days after payday, and understand that Late Super now stacks the SG charge, interest and penalties on your employer. Then check your real deposit dates in MyGov and your fund's transaction history, confirm the timing with payroll before you complain, and report any persistent lateness to the ATO with payslips and dates. Do those 5 things and you turn a vague worry into a documented case. Your super is your money, and from July 2026, you finally have a clear 7-day line to measure it against, so use these steps at your next payday. Next, I'm covering how to find and reunite lost or unclaimed super sitting in old accounts you have forgotten about, which is a surprising amount for a lot of people. If you want to catch that one, subscribe so you don't miss it. It could be a few $1,000s you did not know you had.